Hello everyone and welcome to a new Jaltest webinar. I am Marcos and together with my colleague Isidro, we're going to go through the most important innovations of the 20.2 software update. This version is, by the way, the second one in the 2020. And as you know, Jaltest software is updated 3 times per year, February, June, and October. Before starting, I would like to mention a couple of things. The first one is that you will have a chat window available during the webinar, just in case you want to ask something. Isidro will be there to give answers to your questions. Or if you prefer, you are also more than welcome to send us an email with your questions to customersupport@jaltest.com, customersupport@jaltest.com. You can also go to our website, www.jaltest.com or www.kojaliusa.com. The second one is that this webinar will be uploaded to our YouTube channel as well as included in the video section in our website. I also recommend you to follow us in our social media so that you are always up to date about everything that is going on with Jaltest, news, webinars like this one, case studies, new versions of the software, and so on. This one is going to be our agenda for today. First of all, we will focus on the main general innovations regarding the software, like for instance, new features, functions, and so on. And after that, we will take a look at the most interesting things added in the different Jaltest models, commercial vehicles, off-highway vehicles, and finally, agricultural vehicles and equipment. As we usually do, during the webinar, we will not only list the new features and developments of the update, but also will explain what they are for and which is, from the user perspective, the main added value that they have. So we'll start with the software innovations. Let's get started with one of the main ones, which is the capability for the user to define triggers in measurements. Now, regardless of the system or type of vehicle, if we go to measurements and then click on live data, we will be able to set triggers. But what does it mean? It means that we could define for those measurements that we want to check when we would like them to be paused or stopped. And how can we do that? Well, we just need to define all these values previously in advance. Then, as soon as these values are reached, the selected measurements will stop. Then a red sign will be displayed on the screen together with the value reached. We have an example in the screen capture on the right. This feature will be available not only in the measurements area, but also in the data recorder, which is usually used for test on the road. And this is especially useful in these ones because during the test, it could be difficult, sometimes even dangerous for the driver to be paying attention or looking at the measurements while driving the vehicle, of course. Furthermore, these measurements paused through a trigger or through the corresponding button will save their value in the diagnostic report. From this 20.2 version, it will be possible in different bidirectional actions, such as the DPF regions, to visualize the data through a system display. Until now, until this version, the system display was only available in the measurement section. But now, as I just said, it will be also available in DPF regions for a better visualization and understanding of the process. As you know, we have 3 different options to connect to the vehicle from the main screen of the software. We have the auto, the manual, and the search by VIN. If we go to search by VIN, you will realize that the search has been divided now in 2. First, the manual search at the bottom. It is the one that we had until now. Okay, so you just need to introduce the VIN manually. And then we have the automatic search, which is on top on the screen. This is the new addition for this version. Once you have connected the right diagnostic connector to the vehicle, and with the key on, of course, we could obtain the VIN automatically by pressing this button that we have here on the screen. Obtain the VIN automatically. We will have access to additional information about our vehicle that could be of help, for example, in the cases that we want to select our vehicle manually. An important thing to be mentioned here is that if we click in the first box, the software will automatically start a system scan in the vehicle. Also, for the agricultural vehicles, we must check this other box here, since the VIN number of the agricultural vehicles has a different format. Measurements, graph, display tools. This addition is something that has been requested by many of our users over the time. If we go to measurements and then again click on live data, one of the options that we have to visualize the measurements is the graph. The graphs were already there in the software in previous versions. However, from this 20.2 version, it will be possible to make zoom for a better visualization of these values. As you can see here in the screen capture on the left, below the graph, we have these two icons to make the bigger or smaller zoom, okay? And also, if all the displayed measurements have the same unit, let's say temperatures, the y-axis range could be set by clicking on the filters icon on the left. Here we have the filters icon, and here in the right side of the screen, we could see how we can set these ranges, in this case for the temperatures. We also have improvements in the data recorder. In addition to these chart triggers that can be used to pause the test or to write comments at any moment during the recording, from now on, in Data Recorder, the measurements are displayed during the recording. We could choose the way that we want to see these measurements. We could see them in a list format, graphed, or displayed with instruments. And of course, all these measurements that we have on the screen during the test are being stored at the same time. Then, in the data playback, it will be possible to navigate directly to the comments defined during the recording. The comment can be read in the information panel at the bottom. We also have improvements in the vehicle maintenance data, like for instance the search filter that has been added in the display form. And this way it will be possible, or it will be easier for us to find what we are looking for. Let's see here, there is the search filter. Finally, we also have some cool and interesting innovations regarding the GRP model. So the first of them, if you remember, the previous update, the report sending to a customized email address was already presented, but in this 20.2 version, this functionality has been improved because now it's going to be possible to set several mailing addresses as well as the body of the email at the same time. Also, from this version, it will be possible to establish priorities in the work orders. And these priorities could be low, normal, high, and urgent. So based on these priorities, the different tasks will acquire the priority of the order that we have previously established. So this has been the most important innovations regarding the software and its use. Now we're going to start the second part of the presentation of the webinar, and we're going to comment the main innovations regarding commercial vehicles. We're going to go mainly brand by brand in alphabetical order, explaining everything that is new in this version. We will start with the heavy-duty vehicles. So in Bendix, for the ADAS Wingman system, we have included more than 150 new troubleshooting guides. And with this, we continue increasing and making better our coverage for ADAS systems. Then when it comes to Caterpillar, we have included also more than 50 component replacement guides and specific features for the C7, C12, and C15 engines. Cummins is probably the make that more things brings this time in this version. So in this 20.2, we have the new X12 CM2350 with full coverage, including parameters, maintenance, resets, and so on. Also, we have included new engine, the X15 CM2450. Then in the CM2350 near zero engines, natural gas, we have included or we have added the agility fuel delivery system. Another interesting bidirectional test included in this version is the one that allows the software update for the BGT actuator, and this is going to be for the for two engines, for the SL9 CM2350 and also the X15 CM2350 engines. This is a specific action that must be performed whenever the fault codes 4956 and 4957 appear. Then for the QSB 4.5, 6.7, we will find the SCR investment parameter. This action will be under parameters and will allow us to set different values. For instance, the configuration of the state of the SCR system inducement mode. Also, the maximum number of engine restarts allowed by the control unit. And finally, the counter of the number of times that the engine has been restarted. More interesting things in Cummins are, for example, the procedures for checking the fuel flow of the high pressure pump and the low pressure fuel system in different vehicle types. See? Also, new repair and installation guides, diagrams, repair times, as well as multiplexing parameters have been added in this version for different engines and families. And we jump into the Troy Diesel Mercedes-Benz, where we will find specifically for the EPA 07-10 GHG14 and GHG17 vehicles some interesting new features. For instance, the SCR efficiency test for GHG14 and GHG17 engines. Through this action, we can simulate the AdBlue depth metering conditions in order to verify the efficiency of the SCR. This action has to be performed after different fault codes appear. Also, we will have the system display in the DPF region. This is going to be available for different engines for different manufacturers. We have also expanded the idle shutdown parameter configuration, and we included more troubleshooting guides as well. More interesting things in the Troy Diesel Mercedes-Benz for the D12 transmission. So I'm not talking just about the engine. Now, talking about transmissions, it has been added or it has been improved actually the gear bidirectional test, and also included repair times for the most common procedures. Then on the new Cascadian models, we will have new variants and expanded coverage for the 2019 and 2021 vehicles. Also, new wearing items have been added. And then finally, we have included troubleshooting guides for the MBE 914 EPA 07 engines. When it comes to Eaton on the transmissions, we will find for the Endurance transmission new variants and the PTO parameter modification, and also new variants for the Precision. We will find in this 20.2. Then, talking about Freightliner, And for the most common models of Cascadia and New Cascadia, we continue adding content with specific images to the repair time section. Then for Mac, as well as for Volvo, this version brings tons of quality content related to repair guides and wiring diagrams for different systems, mainly the engine and the vehicle control unit. Also in Volvo, we have included new models in the BNH series. Then, as we mentioned previously for other makes, system display will be available in the DPF regions, the EMS B3 system. Then we jump into Merger.co, and again regarding ADAS systems, we got new procedures to be followed for the camera installation in the lane departure warning system. As we have pretty well detailed all the process, the troubleshooting with specific features so that all the procedure is easy to follow by the technician. Then, talking about Navistar International, we have repair times with specific images in this new version for the most common models, the LT, ProStar, and the ProStar, and so on. Also, in Navistar International, new parameters, component replacement guides, and troubleshooting guides for different max force engines. Additionally, actions like, for example, the PTO parameter setting, the maximum vehicle speed, or the cruise control speed setting have been included for different types of engine, max force engines. Packard. Well, on the Packard side, we have also very interesting things. Well, first of all, the technical information database will grow importantly in this version with different procedures and troubleshooting by symptoms, for codes as well for different systems, like for example the PCI KWP 2000 or the PCI UDS. For the first of these engines, actually, it will be available the turbocharger actuator position test, including specific information. Also in Packard, and for the AdBlue exhaust gas after treatment system, it has been included the soot level reset. Until this software version, it was possible to perform the DPF reading, but from this version, the soot level reset will be available as well. Additionally, we will find more extended information for those fault codes that provoke vehicle limitations, like for example, speed limitation or engine torque reduction. And finally, and as for other manufacturers as well, the system display will be available during the DPF visit. It's time now for the PSI, for the PSI engines, where we will find different important innovations. So we'll start with the 8.0 and 8.8 engines of liquefied petroleum gas. We have improved the fault codes reading process in them by showing the permanent and pending fault codes. Also, it has been added component replacement guides and repair times for these engines. We continue in PSI, but now we talk about the PSI 6.0 gasoline engine, which is becoming actually more and more common everyday vehicles, like for instance the Mitsubishi Fuso. From this version, the most important thing is that it will be possible to set the PTO and the cruise control parameters. Additionally, we will have a lot of new quality technical info, okay, for this type of engines. It's time now to talk about light commercial vehicles. We'll start talking about International, which is a new brand in this category, and it comes with the newest engine system, the Duramax L5B. For this vehicle, we will find diagnostic functions, bidirectional tests, wiring diagrams, and also technical data. Other interesting things to be mentioned for other brands could be the newest printers 2009 models available for Freightliner Mercedes, the 2500, 3500, and also 4500, or the PTO and particulate matter mount settings on the J08E engine in Fino. We also in Isuzu we have extended the coverage with the N-Series 2020 models, and in Workhorse we included more wiring diagrams for different models. Then on the trailer side, it will be possible to perform different bidirectional tests in the Bendix ABS system in the 6 ADB and C, such as the modulator activations or the ABS warning lamp activation. Okay, so with this, we have already finished the commercial vehicle section. So probably some of you are not interested, I don't know, in the off-highway, and also agricultural vehicles section. So for all of you that you just joined for the commercial vehicles one, I would like to say thank you very much for joining. Just keep in mind again that this webinar will be uploaded for future visualizations if you want. Just go to our YouTube channel or to our video section in our website, and we're looking for just to see you for future webinars. It's time now for the highway vehicles. We'll start talking about the main innovations regarding brands and models. The users of this model will realize how Jaltest continue to receive the coverage, this time with 5 new brands that have been added: Aman, Daewoo, Kawasaki, KCM, Sunny, and Wilton. Actually, there are 6. Also, Bell has been reorganized after adding 1 new family and 5 new models, and something similar has happened in GLG with 8 new models in this 20.2 version. Let's talk now about the most important things added regarding technical information. In this update, we will find new vehicle technical data, different John Deere and Volvo engines that are used in both compact and also heavy machinery. Also, new wiring diagrams, such as the one for the Kohler 2504 engine that could be found in the 300 series skid steer loaders of JCB, or also the ones for articulated haulers, motor graders, and wheel loaders in Volvo construction equipment. In the same way, as we already commented in the commercial vehicle section, it will be possible to visualize a system display during the PPA regeneration and also during the salvation recovery process of different Caterpillar and Perkins engines. Now we are going to talk brand by brand a little bit about what is new. Starting with Bobcat. It has been developed the drive controller transmission systems in the telescopic handlers, like in the T3000 series. In this system, we will be able to calibrate the engine pedal by using the JVC 539A adapter. This is a specific connector with electronics on it. Remember that all these connectors for highway we're able to provide. Just need to be very careful with the phone number and so on. And that's it. And the software is everything very well explained. Anytime that you try to connect to a different vehicle, you will see the reference for each of these adapters. Then when it comes to Caterpillar, and more specifically to the C9.3 engine, it would be possible to perform injectors exchange through 3 files. This action must be done after the injector changes in order to update the new configuration of the injectors in the control unit. Also, for this engine, as well as for the C13, the reset of the AST content of the PPF filter has been included, and this action is advisable to carry out after the PPF filter regeneration so that the adaptation values are reset. Then, in addition, important new things will be possible from this version to configure the attachment to the display by following the instructions that are included in the software. This configuration will be available in the body computer system, and the parameters that should be performed to adjust the different values of the attachment. And to carry out this action, actually, it will be needed the JDC 545A adapter that we have explained. Then, in mobile construction equipment, as we have just seen in Busan, the procedures for the attachment configuration through the display in different models have been included in this version. On the other hand, two new system checks are now available for the vehicle control unit. So, for instance, for articulated collars, we have the check of the transmission oil pressure and the clutch valves. And regarding wheel loaders, we have the check of the transmission valves and the gear selector. There are also many other innovations for different manufacturers, as you can see. We have Hitachi, John Deere, Liebherr, and so on and so on. For example, maybe one of the most important ones is the new proprietary systems that have been added in the telescopic handlers of magnitude. Then, if we focus on the stationary engines, we will find very interesting features and capabilities too. For example, the pressure relief valve test reset in Deutsch engines. This action has to be performed once the valve has been replaced after reaching its maximum number of times open. Very helpful experience. Sorry if you will not see the slide. This is it. Okay, and there we have also other important innovations for other stationary engines. So now it's time to talk a little bit about agricultural vehicles. We will go through the different manufacturers. First of all, we'll see what is new in the software. Talking about brands, we include 6 new ones: Arbos, BCS, Ferrari, Goldoni, Pasquale, and Russell Mass. Also, we have new models for different manufacturers, like for instance in Deutsch, Fendt, Massey Ferguson, or in Holland. Right, and you will find also new content for Landini, McCormick, and Balcha. Talking about technical information, we will find wide diagrams and technical information available, new ones, I mean, for different systems, different brands. Also, we have technical data updated for German engines, and also troubleshooting guides and procedures. So, the database has been expanded for John Deere manufacturer, and as we saw previously in the commercial vehicle section and the highway section, the system display will be available not only in the measurements but also during the performance of the units of different manufacturers. When we start talking about the different manufacturers, we start by class. We have a Caterpillar engine, it's C9.3 and C13. It's Caterpillar actually, sorry about that. Then in Deutsch Far, we have the Deutsch engine control system and a specific bidirectional action for this system, which is the injector coding, and also the pressure relief valve reset that we just mentioned for Deutsch engine. Talking about Fendt, and for the Deutsch engine, again, the same reset for the pressure relief valve will be available. John Deere also brings in this version important innovations for different systems. Like for instance, on the hydraulic lift, we will be able to rear the calibration in the 7020 series models, and also in the transmission, will be possible to calibrate parameters in the 3 and 4 series models. In the Kubota side and in the body computer, the central computer, it will be possible to perform the parameter setting and accelerator pedal calibration. In the Argo group, a new bidirectional in the after-treatment system, which is the check of the metering pump and the absolute depth metering valve. Also, new systems have been added, like the transmission, instrument cluster, armrest controller, and the CAF module. One of the most important factors here in the United States and Mexico region, we have new systems like the climate transmission. Specifically for this transmission, it will be possible to perform the calibration and the parameter modification, and also in the hydraulic lift, it will be possible to carry out the parameter modification. When we're talking about Holland, we have checks and maintenances on the engine side, in the Tier 5 and the MD1 Tier 5 Stage 5 here. And in Valtra, for the maintenance system, it will be possible to perform system checks and resets, different, for instance, of the instrument cluster intervals and the engine control system. So with this, we have already covered everything or almost everything that is new. It's impossible to put everything in just a webinar of 40 minutes. Of course, there is much more. We just highlighted the most important things that brings this 20.2 version. Just keep in mind that the next one will be in October this year. I would like to say thank you to all of you that joined us today. And also, if you have some questions, specific questions regarding these new things that we have included in this version, or any other type of questions, here you have on the screen the email address, customer support, which is customer support at jaltest.com. Also, you have the phone number, just in case you want to talk to us by phone, and on the bottom the link to the websites of the group, jaltest.com, kojaliusa.com, and also kojali.com. So thank you very much for joining, and another check with Isidro if there are some other questions in the chat. If not, see you next time. Thank you very much. Take care. Be safe.